Hello, and welcome to the Blue Sky Podcast. I am Adeel.
And I'm Jono. You caught me off guard there. You just went for it.
I went for it,
just
baby.
started. There was
That's
no
it.
like weird little
No
preamble.
overthinking, no bullshit. Let's get into it.
Yeah. Well, that one was really loud, but I'm gonna leave it in because there was passion. No,
There was, okay.
there was passion,
Yeah.
and that's what this podcast is about. It's about passion for films
And writing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and attention.
And attention.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know how to transition into it, but so I'm just gonna say it. I would love to if we could just make this episode about the fact that you watched The Prestige.
Oh yeah, so I did the hip meme thing, Prestige Kirk, or is it
That's what everyone's
Dunstige?
doing these days.
Press Kirk. Yeah,
I watched them both for the first time.
I watched them both for the first time. I watched The Prestige, which I really liked. Kind of saw the twist coming, but I thought that, spoilers. I thought that, what's his name? Christian Bale used the Tesla machine to duplicate himself. Like,
but that's the twist that he did it.
Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah.
He was pure.
And it's like I just like it because it's such a testament to any craft's passion, right? It's like this thing that he has a twin brother and him and his twin join and live one life and live half a life each.
And dedicate every single essence of their being to their craft.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because by literally, and what a big sacrifice. You're living half a life. You're okay with the fact that we're going to both get married, but we're only going to live it half the time. And even if like, I don't love basically there's one of the brothers that loves the wife and the other brother is obviously like, getting married because his brother wants to. So now he's like, okay, well, I guess I'm married too now. And then he falls in love with Scarlett Johansson, that brother. And it's like they can't really even be in love fully.
Yeah, because it's just too fucking weird for everyone.
Yeah. And the purpose of it all is for the craft. So it's on the same page. It's on par with, for me, as Whiplash. Like the whole thing about like passion and how much dedication do you want to put towards
and
it.
how much of your life do you want to tank to favor your
personal relationships. How many personal relationships do you want to tank?
Yeah, it's true. It's I think it's just a great sort of hyperbole of the artistic lifestyle that we both share.
Yeah, I just watched this show. I finished the season 2. You probably heard of it, The Bear.
Yeah.
Same thing. And season 1 did a decent job. Season 2 does a way better job of like showing that life of like, I want to open this restaurant, be a Michelin star restaurant and really make it the best thing and really make my, it's a little bit for his brother who passed away and all these things, but it's like, it's really for him to really be this guy. And there's moments in the series where it's like, you gotta like give up your love life and your family life. And there's a great scene where he's telling his friend, like, oh, I started seeing someone, right? It's like near the end of the season. And no spoilers, but it's like, oh, I started talking to someone. And I just love the reaction where the other friend is like, let me say this first of all. I've never been happier to hear such news. He's like so happy for him, right? And then he goes, but also, uh-oh. And it's such a good moment of like, that's what he's giving him this message of like, dude, if you want to be the best at your craft, you're going to have to make sacrifices.
Yeah. Yeah.
I there's something about that message that I always find so interesting, and just talking about passion and obsession.
It's true. And then there was Dunkirk, which I didn't like as much. It was still great. I just wish I saw it in the theater. I could see that. Like, it was pretty tense, and those people went through some crazy shit. But I felt most like, obviously from the brutal devastation caused by World War II, but I just keep thinking about George, the little guy who banged his head in the boat.
Oh my gosh, right? Like the way he goes, like what the heck?
It's weird, and that old man just wanted to help.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Didn't help George.
Yeah.
He gave him his nice little newspaper article at the end, but
It was interesting. I was like, what was the point of that? But it was almost to be like, that's how the war was, where it wasn't just people dying on the front lines. It was shit like this caused by the turmoil of things happening on the front lines, kind of rippling into society and civilization and communities and stuff. So that was I didn't see that coming when I was watching it. I'm like, really? That's like his storyline?
Yeah.
But
so for those of you who have been listening along, this is now a historically accurate Christopher Nolan only podcast. We will not be doing a script today. We're just going to talk about Dunkirk and The Prestige as if you watched it with me this weekend.
Yeah,
and see it exactly the same way I do.
We're going to talk about the brilliance of Nolan, okay? And if you don't like it, you better switch off.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen Oppenheimer, so I can't even. But last thing before we move on to the podcast itself is, Dunkirk, and that's something, sometimes he does this with his films. Like, I felt like Tenet was that. Tenet, that Dunkirk and Tenet felt like they're just events. So you go and you watch this big event in theaters, but I don't usually have the desire to watch it again. I'm like, it's a cool event. The sound was great. The visuals. Where films like Prestige, and there's another one he did, Inception, where they're...
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. It's pretty good, man. Interstellar, where like those are events with like such strong characters that you watch it again.
Right.
They're not just like Prestige, or Inception and Interstellar are still events. Like they're powerful and big, but they're such like amazing characters and like relationships, like, you know, like Matthew McConaughey and his daughter in Interstellar and all this, where you want to watch it again because that's what brings you back, as opposed to Tenet and Dunkirk. There's no relationships or characters where I'm like, oh, I want to see Tom Hardy be brooding in this for that cool moment at the ending. Like, it's like, oh, cool, visual masterpiece, but doesn't bring me back, you know?
Yeah. But I do think there is some prestige in moving on with the podcast. So are you done, Kirk?
I feel like you didn't hear...
I didn't hear a single fucking thing you said.
Because you were like, I got to get Prestige and Dunkirk
It's going to be my turn to talk soon.
I'm going to get these puns across.
Okay, if you're just joining us, every episode we make a script based on nothing. And by nothing, I mean we don't prepare. We put a bunch of ideas, i.e. prompts, i.e. genres or concepts in a bowl. One of us draws it, and then we blow out a story and perform it for you as a radio drama.
Yep. By the end of this episode, we will have written a first draft based on one of these genres, as well as performed, the script like as a table read for you.
Okay.
Time to go to the first section after 20 minutes of talking about Nolan.
It's going to be Interstellar. Stellar's underlined.
The prompt.
So, who is going to reach into the Forsaken Bowl today? Shall it be you or shall it be me?
It's already here.
It's already there.
It's already right.
It's going to be you.
Look at me ruffle through them. Listen to me. Ruffle.
Can you hear it?
ASMR. Okay. I'm going to pick something.
The sweet sounds of the Blue Sky podcast. Listen to paper ruffling and the inside of Adeel's stomach.
I'm about to flip it over.
Okay.
Can you actually hear my stomach?
I did. When you reached the bullet, when it's like, ah.
I'm on coffee right now, and that's it. All right.
Oh,
flipping it over, and oh, sick! It's the first one I wrote today. I'm kind of excited.
Uh-oh.
Time travel.
Oh, okay. Didn't we do time travel? Oh, we did a medieval time travel.
We did a medieval fantasy. Yeah, fair, but I feel like, I don't know. I like the idea of time travel. Where
Oh, weird that I said it's going to be Interstellar to make like a bad pun at the end of the last section. And at the beginning of this section, that bad pun was manifested in the prompt.
It all came together, dude.
Yeah.
Do you feel it's, I mean, we're still going to do this because I'm really excited about this, but do you think it's cheating because we've kind of done it already?
No, I just think we can't have it take place at medieval times. And it can't. And the lead character can't be a lechy dad.
I got an idea.
Okay.
It takes place at Hooters.
Ooh.
So lechy dad already there.
Yeah. And he eats a magic chicken wing.
And it takes them back in time. Yeah. Time travel. So the prompt, and again, if it's the first time you're listening to us, it just means that now the first draft of this short film script that we're going to write will be on that genre. It'll be about it. It could be creative enough that maybe it's about someone making a time travel machine, or it could be literally in the middle of a time travel story. It could be anything.
I'm Googling all these references that are coming to mind, and I'm we talked about that one on an episode. We talked about that one on an episode. Yeah. Okay, it's fine. We're still going to do it.
Because I would, maybe after this for like a long time, we won't touch time and travel.
We could do them individually.
We could talk about a movie about time.
We can make a movie about time, it's like a race against the clock, or a movie about travel, which is like the Anthony Bourdain biopic.
Oh my gosh.
Is that?
I have an idea.
What?
Should I say it now, or should we go to the blue sky part, or should we talk about the prompt a bit more?
Let's talk about the prompt a bit more.
Okay, I'm gonna bookmark it in my head. The prompt. So the reason what I want to talk a bit more, and let me know if you have any that come to your mind, is just films that I think when I think of time travel, which is of course, Back to the Future, of course. But also there's this other one that I mentioned last time about time, which is like a much more grounded version of time travel, which I kind of find pretty cool. Where it's really it's a rom-com really, and it's about this guy who finds out that all the men in his family have this power that when they go into a closet, they can kind of go back in time.
Mm-hmm.
and he uses it to kind of get the girl of his dreams, as
Okay.
opposed to Back to the Future being like, oh my god, I ended up here by accident, and I gotta make sure I don't sleep with my mom because otherwise I'm gonna be erased, as you do,
Yeah.
So that was more like, oh my god, like Day of All Days, where the About Time was more of a grounded film.
Yeah, for real. I think I talked about this one before, but Time Crimes is also really good.
Never seen it.
It's really cool. It's like a Spanish movie. If you're listening, don't watch it with the English dub. It's terrible. Watch it with subtitles, like a true film buff.
Dude, anything with English dub, when it's foreign film, it feels so wrong. It feels like, because you know that the actor poured his heart out, and then some dude just came into a booth and was like,
Some guys in a closet in LA during the pandemic just reading over, yes, I'm sad too.
or like completely different inflections, right? It's like if I did a scene and I'm like crying over my mom and I put words on certain, like inflections on certain words, he's doing a whole different job. So it's like the facial expression and the voice just don't match up.
For sure. Animation kind of works because it's just, it's, lower frame rates or whatever and lip flapping. But Time Crimes, though, it's a really good, pretty much like a bottle movie. Highly recommend it. Like, it's a guy who's just hanging out in his backyard and he witnesses a weird event and then finds himself sort of ensnared in this event, and he has to kind of complete the loop that he saw in order to go back to normal. Like, he just causes this weird
I love
loop
it
in
already.
time. He stumbles upon a time machine during his sort of search for what the fuck's going on, and ends up having to get in it again and again and again and try and correct things and set it up. It's really good. It's really simple.
It sounds a bit like Source Code.
I've heard of that, but I've never seen it.
Have you seen what's I think the most underrated time travel film of all time for me, because no one mentions it usually, but it's so good, is Butterfly Effect.
Yes, you mention it a lot.
I know, but because no one else does, so I'm trying to make up for everyone else not mentioning it, because I think it's like, I watched it again recently because I was like, you know what, maybe I overhype it. So I watched it again, like literally a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, after a long time, and man, does it hold up.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very, that era, like I think it's a 2001 film, so it's that era of like filmmaking, which is kind of fun to watch. And it's just like cringy and dark and fucked up, but the time travel loops that he creates, because that's usually what time travel films a lot are like. You go back, you change one thing, you come back, you're like, I didn't change it right, so I got to go back and fix it again. Or I fucked this one thing up when I went back, so let me go back. And they keep going back and fixing it.
Yeah, it's always sort of about the hubris of trying to control things that can't be controlled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then usually the moral is like, you should just let it go and don't have regrets. Like, kind of just, you learn that like the best thing is to kind of just live life. That's usually the moral. I guess Butterfly Effect is a bit darker, the ending. It's not that. It's more like, spoiler alert, he goes back and he's like, I just can never meet this girl that I love, because whenever I come into her life, that's what fucks her life up.
Oh.
So he goes back and he kind of undoes ever being friends with her. And it's kind of heartbreaking because he's like doing it for her, but he's also like sacrificing his love for her.
That's the real nice juicy stuff for scripts right there. It's like the internal struggle of doing what's right, even though it's not what you want, it's what's right, and you have to like excise every desire you've had and make it right. That's time travel in a nutshell. Let's hope we never figure it out on this mortal plane.
You know what, maybe I should wait till the end, but I do really want to ask you, what would you think about it during this rest of this, and then during the recap, I'll ask you some time travel questions about where you would go if you could time travel.
Okay, or maybe that'll come up in the next section, because we're gonna have to riff some ideas, and that could produce some good fodder of what this script could be about.
That's an excellent point. So let's just go to the next section then.
This is the blue sky part.
Okay, so now this is the part where now we start throwing shit at the wall. Now we kind of just put sand in the sandbox so that we can make some castles.
Do you ever wish that when you're on set, or like you do a production and then you get into post and you're like, oh, if only I could reshoot that scene, and then could you go back in time and reshoot it better, or would it just end up being the same? Is time
so good.
Do you believe that we operate under our own free will, or do you believe in this sort of preordained Slaughterhouse-Five style, Arrival style, like everything, like time is a landscape and some beings can see that entire landscape like a painting, like a mountain range, and everything that's ever happened in time is in that mountain range, all happening at the same time. Or is it a linear path that continues to branch and dimension off as we make decisions?
I think every decision opens up a new universe. So it's like if I am going a certain path in life and then I decide to go right, then now I'm going into this new, maybe this path was like closed off, but now that I'm basically painting it with this decision. I'm kind of creating this world. I really believe that you create your own world.
Yeah.
It's tricky because then I don't like, I'm very open to any theory though. I'm very much like, there's nothing 100% that I'm on. That's the weird way to phrase that. There's nothing that I'm 100% certain about is what I meant. So it's like, even what you're saying, this whole like landscape, it could still exist in what I'm saying, but maybe it's like this landscape has like 30, 40 paths or like routes.
It's a mountain range, a layered mountain range that can still be seen, but not necessarily pinpointed.
Yeah. Because a decision to not get up tomorrow in the morning and just stay at home can maybe make me go this other direction.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know what, I'm going to go and do something uncomfortable, like go to this event or whatever, then that'll make me go right on this other path. So I kind of believe that, where you do have free will.
Yeah. I do often say like, oh, there's a universe where I stayed in psychology and was still teaching classes and not privy to any aspect of my life, or like there's a universe where I actually fell asleep at the wheel in a van on a tour and all my friends and myself are dead.
The darkest timeline.
The darkest timelines. But it's funny to have one uninterrupted consciousness and also think that there are other uninterrupted consciousness versions of you that sort of share your experience up to a certain point and then completely diverge. It's really interesting to me.
Yeah, that's cool.
When I was a kid, I used to think like very egocentric shit, like, oh man, like when I started to kind of develop an idea of time or consequence or chronology. If I didn't flinch my big toe that one day, maybe this thing wouldn't have happened. But later in life, I realized like the scaffolding and the mechanics required for any event to occur have been long since in motion before me flinching my big toe. So like, I don't control the flow of time.
So you don't believe in free will?
I don't. I believe that I choose to flinch my toe, but I believe that like if I didn't do it, it's not gonna. Something so minuscule isn't gonna.
But what about
alter the
bigger?
future.
What about something bigger? Like
what
if,
about
like,
something bigger? Like
if there's a trip about to come up, you're supposed to go somewhere, and you say no to it. Do you feel like no matter what, I was supposed to say no to it? No matter what, I was gonna end up in 2 months doing this other thing? Or do you feel like now that I said no to this, or yes to this, I changed it a bit?
Yeah, I do kind of feel like. I think it depends on my mood or how optimistic I'm feeling in any given time. If it's ordained, because sometimes I'm like, I didn't get that gig, but then this other thing comes in place, and I'm like, the universe didn't give me what I wanted, it gave me what I needed.
Right.
And I actually like this thing way more. So in a way, I do feel like I've been, things have been ordained or like destined or whatever, predestined, but I also believe that the minor decisions, like the thousands and thousands of minor decisions, not just flinching my big toe, not something so stupid and egocentric like that, is what led to that. There's so many tiny little things.
Yeah, and not to get like keep hammering and getting deeper, but it's like,
let's get deep.
That's good. I do think that to me the biggest thing is intention. So it's like the flinching of the toe doesn't mean as much, or it means whatever it means. But it's like, what's my intention for the grand scheme of things? I'm a big believer of like, you're using mountains as an example. It's like, what's my mountain top? Like, which mountain do I want to get to the top of? So if I make that a decision for myself, being like, that's the mountain I want to climb, then I am a believer. So I don't know if I am against free will or I am for free will. But once I make that decision, it's like everything I'm doing, I'm putting the energy that is to get to that mountaintop. So I flinch my toe. If I don't flinch it, either way, that's still the goal. So in my head, that hasn't changed. I feel like if you need to have like a destination, like even if it's vague, it doesn't have to be like specific goal. But yeah, it can be a little vague. But if that's your vague mountain or your vague goal or whatever, now for me it's like all my energy. So if I tripped, okay, it's probably to get to the mountain, but I was probably going the wrong way. So I'll just go this left way, and then I'll go up to that same mountain. So my like destination is always the same, and then I move towards it. Now, I do believe that as I'm moving towards it, life isn't that boring where it's like, well, that's just the journey now. If along the way, something happens where it's like a foreclosure or something, a sign being like, oh, you can't climb it anymore. It's kind of under construction, this mountain. Because you know how mountains are. Always traffic cones.
They're not
on
always
mountains.
finished.
So I'm walking and I see like a mountain closed sign. Then I'm like, okay, this is fine. Maybe there's a reason why I can't go today because it's closed, because maybe it's like shitty weather up there right now. So maybe this is all good. I'm very optimistic in that sense, I guess, or not even. I hate using the word optimistic because it makes you sound ignorant, but I'd like to think that optimism is a smart way to approach life personally. Either way, you're about to go, and then instead I take a left because it's closed the mountain now, and this new path that I'm going on, even that really came from me in the first place thinking of this mountaintop and goal because I went towards it.
I think we're saying the same thing in a weird way, in different words.
Yeah, I think so. I was just saying that's why I had to say it in mind, because I'm like, is that what you mean? So it's like, okay,
it's like the course goal is controllable, but the minutia within that journey is maybe not so much.
Yeah, which is what makes life fun.
Which is what makes life fun.
I feel like we just did a new section for this podcast.
It's called the Stoner Talk section.
We'll have a Stoner Talk section every time.
Yeah. This if the video comes out of this, it should just be like green smoke everywhere.
It's like when you
because weed smoke is green. That's why I said
that's
green
what I was
smoke.
told when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
When you YouTube like Pink Floyd visual medley.
Yeah.
And you get like these weird fucking
just animated hammers marching through the
it's
studio
this conversation
here.
app.
Yeah.
Okay.
You made me think of some funny stuff while I pretended to listen. Imagine because obviously I'm gonna try and make a comedy, but what's the dumbest reason to use time travel for? Like, did you walk to work one day and you got splashed by a bus and you went to work and someone's like, oh, look at Wet Willie over here. And then the guy just gets, called Wet Willie for the rest of the day. And he's like, well, fuck this. And he goes back in time. He figures out some way to travel in time so he can go and prevent himself from getting soaked. But no matter what, he keeps getting soaked by the bus. Embarrassed.
The funniest thing, which you kind of hinted on too, is like being ego, right? Like being like, oh, well, I looked like I was thinking of it's from a Key and Peele sketch, but it's this idea of like, imagine you're like, and we do this in class sometimes, or we do this together when we're hanging out, and it's you say a joke and not enough people hear you, so then I'll repeat it, and then people laugh, so then you go back in time to make sure you got the joke across. So that's like funny to me, where it's a really petty thing. Where if people didn't fucking laugh at the joke. I said the joke, but he repeated it and they laughed. So then you go back in time and it's this like craze over like, I gotta do this. And then the idea could evolve into like doing that, but then something else goes wrong. So you're like, fuck, I gotta, you want everything to be perfect for this joke or this like setup,
Yeah. Or in like the whole like wind of one door closing thing, you could really like, one thing gets fixed, but the other things that were correct in the last iteration, one of those goes wrong, and it's just this like
you keep going back.
Like you turn the light out in one room and it comes on in the other, or like you plug one leak and another one springs or whatever. Yeah. That could be really funny. I wouldn't want to do the joke thing because of last week's episode. But,
right.
But like, what about like a date or something where like you're just trying to that might get into the medieval times thing a little bit, but like, a guy goes to the bathroom to time travel every time he says something wrong and comes back and tries to readjust it, it just seems like that could get repetitive. But
here's my twist on it, because you're right. I do want to stay away from the repetitive or like doing it over and over again. So what if this is like the structure of it, where imagine I like the date idea because just a first draft. We might not go with this, but imagine a date and it's like we start the film in the middle of the conversation and they're talking. And things, it's going super smooth. Like he is just nailing every remark, and they like the same things. And she's like, "Oh my god, this is fucking Princess Charming, right?" Maybe she has an inner monologue, like, "What the fuck? This is like kind of going too well." And then she says this one thing, and he affirms, or this or that, whatever. And then at one point, I don't know how. And this again, we gotta tighten this part up. But she says something, and he says it too perfect. The answer. Like she goes, I watched Monsters Inc. when I was 6. Oh no, and he goes, when you were 7. And she goes, what the fuck? And then he goes, oh. And she's like, what the? And she gets really freaked out. And he's like, no, I'm not a creep. I'm not a stalker. And she's like, then what the fuck? And he's like, okay, I can time travel. And then you find out that the reason he's been nailing all the questions, and maybe we do a cutaway of he did this date like 30 times already. So you cut back to like all the things he's getting perfect. He was fucking up in the beginning. So then he would just click a button. It's like, we make it super simple. It's not a closet. It's not like a machine. It's literally, he has like this button in his hand, or a phone app, literally a phone app. And he clicks it and he's back in the beginning of the date. So what I like about the way you structure this is like, it's not about the journey. It's about the fact that someone's already been using it. And like a page and a half, 2 pages into the script, she's like, why is this date so perfect? And he's like, okay, fine. We've done this date like 30 times.
Ooh, I've been time traveling.
Yeah. As one does. And that he only says that because she's like about to leave. She's like in a huff. She's like, this is fucking creepy. How the fuck did you know this? And now everything you've said now seems kind of weird. And then the only thing, and again, this is the first draft. Maybe we don't go with this, but it's just like, why doesn't he time travel at that point?
And
or maybe he's like he tells her everything and she's like, why are you telling me this? He's like, well, I've told you this before too. And then he just goes back in time.
But I told you this before too. And then she leaves. And then there's like, you cut to the outside of the bar or wherever that they're at. And like, she's just walking away and leaving. And they're having this little bit of a fight or whatever. And then as it's happening, the camera pulls back. And the two of them are there watching it. And they're holding hands. And they're like, oh, it was so nice to be young or whatever, you know?
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah,
I love that.
that could be nice.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's too soon to go with this idea though.
Why?
Because it's really 10 minutes into this 12. I mean, that's really good. That shows.
I mean, we bookmark it. I have a couple more ideas.
Okay, sweet.
But I do like that, and it's a sweet love story of like them. You find out the ending that they're going back to their first date.
Yeah,
that's super cute.
And see, that's like because you do twist A, and then I've been time traveling the whole time, and then twist B, they're just.
Oh, dude, that's really fucking
it's so
good,
sweet,
and it's something we can make. It's a very simple short
film.
It's so sweet. Okay, cool. As an idea. I have two more. One is very vague, so I'll save that second. The one idea I was going to say earlier in the prompt section was, you said something about time, and then we'll do a film about time, and we'll do a film about travel separately, about traveling. And I was like, what if it's a travel agent who takes you to, who like, hey.
Welcome to time travel.
Yeah, legit.
Would you like to see travel. A Roman peasant be gutted by a bear in front of thousands of your peers?
Exactly. It's a brochure and stuff, and it's like, oh, honey, we got to go to this. It's like, no, Samantha went to the 1930s. She said it was a boar or whatever, you know?
She was there during the Prohibition era. Nothing was prohibited. Trust me. It was a lie.
And then it becomes more about, the reason I say this is only if you want to stay away from the time travel itself. And the film becomes about this guy who works there. And it's like his life. It's like almost like Her, where it's like Joaquin Phoenix's character where he's like all happy. Well, that's not. But anyways, he's happy for the people. But when he goes home, it's like his life, what he lives. Maybe we play with that. You know, it's more about this guy who works this Black Mirror-ish job.
That could be fun. I like that. Time travel company.
I find that's funny.
It is, but I just like what.
Yeah, what
are the beats? Where do they?
Here are the beats.
Where do that story goes?
Yeah, what is it about? Like, is it a film about it's like a corporate film about their like literally lunch break on this job, and they talk about shit, right? Which is like such a non-time travel film. Or is it about like if Black Mirror, like think of the Black Mirror version where you're in a world where time travel exists. Or
what if like, are you familiar with the whole? I don't know. I hope we didn't talk about this, but the whole John Teeter thing. In like the early 2000s, this dude appeared on a message board whose name was allegedly John Teeter, claimed to be a time traveler, and he was sending people like, you know, info about the future and pictures of his time traveling machine and stuff. And people are like, why would you share this? This doesn't make any sense. And he's like, actually, this is all just kind of happening at once. It's all a bunch of different timelines. There's a million versions of me. I'm leaving a breadcrumb trail in case other versions of me break down in this timeline so they can look up on a message board how to rebuild the time machine and blah, blah, blah. And like a lot of people went down this rabbit hole and like were asking him questions, and he was replying for a while. And apparently he was coming back to get like an old IBM computer, because in the future there's this technological problem that they have to solve, but only these IBM computers from the early 2000s or late 90s or whatever can interface with this new technology. So he came back to get that. And that's really the only purpose of time travel, is just to get stuff. There's no other, like, you can't, there's no like grandfather paradox where if you go kill yourself, you erase yourself. It's just all different timelines. So that's all to say that his explanation of time travel is you are just branching off into these other layers of dimension. There's just like an infinite amount of dimensions and versions of yourself based on the decisions that you make, and they splinter off and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, there's only a certain range that you would want to go, because if you went all the way to the left or all the way to the right, I just did the opposites. If you're not watching the video, I chose the wrong hands for the wrong examples. Please,
and this is where you would use time travel to go back and...
Hold on. Yeah, if you go too far to the left or too far to the right, it's not going to be anything that you remember or feel connected to, because humans all the way to the right are now lizards. Humans all the way to the left are fish. You know what I mean? Like, the further away from your main timeline you get, the more divergent it gets. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I just have a put in my head that I want to use. That's all. I'm not listening to you right now.
Let's do it.
No, I have no plans.
Oh.
I'm not Jono. Get the fuck out of here.
I was listening. It was just like I'm
kidding.
I hold space in different parts of my brain. But this time travel agent gets a client. We can do all the jokes.
Oh, now we're back.
You want to go?
Okay.
You want to go? You want to go Rome? You want to go Greece? You want to go? I got nothing. I don't know history. I just woke up today.
India before the partition.
India before the partition.
You have no idea what that means.
I do. Partition means separate.
Well, because, oh my God, you know it. Because India was one big country, and then Pakistan separated.
It got divided up. Yes, that's kind of what I thought, but I wasn't 100% sure.
I would have loved to hear you trying to stumble your way across that.
You just did. So he gets a client who's like, I want to go all the way. I want to see lizards. I want to see something fucked up. And he sends this guy, like, he has to do all these weird things, and the guy's like, I will. And he's like, sorry, we can't go beyond timeline 14. Like, that's the edge.
Right.
Go to timeline 36, and I'll pay the extra money. And it's about some weird backdoor deal to get super far in the future, but I don't know where it goes from there.
That's the thing. Like, I'd like this world that we're creating, but I'm not like.
There's too much to explain.
There's no heart either. Like, what's the fucking like character drama?
Okay, what if the guy who wants to go to the farthest timeline is a heart?
I was waiting for something more, and then he just stopped at heart. he's just a walking
like,
heart. Yeah, he's just.
Say this. You said the story needed
well, it's a
more
world
heart.
where time travel exists. So
I took the note. I don't know what else you want.
The one thing I can think of, like, character-wise, is like they're going, and there's like what I'm thinking is like if this existed in our world, like time travel company, then it'd be like you would have to have rules.
Yes.
You would have. First of all, I love how this fucking prompt. We sound like such nerds because you can't talk about time travel without sounding like, oh, there's different dimensions and different timelines.
Yeah,
It's
that's the
such a
shit I
nerdy
like to
topic.
think about. To be honest, though, like that's kind of what occupies my idle thoughts. Like,
What, time
just
travel?
not necessarily time travel, but just the unfathomable possibilities of the fabric of reality. You know?
Fair. No, I get you.
Yeah.
So this is a perfect prompt for you.
Yeah.
So sorry. So imagine today's time, Black Mirror, meaning like a month from now, kind of universe where our
Can we start saying blue mirror?
Why?
Because blue sky.
Oh, Blue Mirror. I like that. That's all our description. Yeah. So if we made a Blue Mirror episode, imagine like in today's time travel exists. Literally, it's man.
It's like a
thing. Man. I've been so busy with work. I need to get away. I might go check out the Roman times or whatever.
I just might go see the dead at Woodstock.
Yeah. Oh, that's the okay. So, and that should be a thing even in this like time or in this universe where I was going to ask you earlier, my question to you was going to be, if you would go back in time and watch one band, who would it be? And it could be living, but maybe like their earlier stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or it could be someone dead, right? And maybe even in this universe, it's like they have flyers and it's like, go watch AC/DC when they first start, or the Beatles, or, you know, like all these like earlier like 1970s concerts.
Who would it be
80s.
for you?
I don't know. It's tough. When I was about to ask you too, I was like, started thinking. I'm like, I don't know.
I know.
Who?
Nirvana.
Really? Eh?
Oh, yeah. Right before
Nevermind
Nevermind came out, like just as they were cresting that mountain, just in the dirty DIY grunge scene, like that would have been cool.
I have two answers. but they're not as cool as yours because Nirvana's pretty badass, and it's a smart answer because you probably know the history really well of them. One is I had an opportunity to watch the Throne live, which is Kanye and Jay-Z live. And I remember having tickets and then choosing to do something else instead of it because it was like a work thing. And I was like, and again, I don't regret it.
Yeah. So yeah, okay, keep going.
I don't regret it, but I was like, no, I want to now that if I could go back, I'd be like, okay, I would, because I've already done. It's more like I wouldn't do it because of regret. I'm like, I've already lived that work thing I did, so now I'm gonna go back and live this. So I would love to see Jay-Z Kanye live because again, my buddies went to that and they were like, we had really good seats and they were like, it was fucking insane, and I loved that album. So Watch the Throne. Or the second thing would be The Strokes, just as Reptilia came out.
But in the farthest timeline where they are actually reptiles.
Yeah, they're reptiles singing Reptilia.
Yeah. Now that's fucking
that would be
smart answer. That is a very smart, very esoteric answer that I am absolutely here for.
I'm on board with that. And then in this world, so I know you haven't.
No, yeah.
But in this world, I was like, we'd have rules as well. You know, so it's like you can't.
Don't
go
litter.
on personal relationships.
Don't litter.
Don't litter. It's like very simple ones, like don't litter.
Like no smoking. No, like there's just little.
Don't
things.
add pollution in that timeline.
Yeah, you can't consume like food or substance or whatever while you're there.
That'd be so. I mean, I guess
maybe, yeah. But
dull,
yeah,
though,
I'm just throwing shit at the wall. But yeah, that would suck if you couldn't eat a real chicken leg.
You know what I mean? Like back in the fucking
at that Jay-Z show.
Yeah, I can't eat the fucking nachos at the fucking ACC.
Fuck.
I always want to go to back then.
They're so cheap in this era.
It was called ACC. That's really why I want to go back. I want to go back to the ACC or Skydome. But yeah, there should be rules, and it's like you can't. And then they're trying to promote go to concerts or do this, or they have very like obvious promotional things where it's like you should do this if you choose our time travel company. We're really good at taking you to the first, or do you want to go watch the live taping or the live like showing of the moon landing, shit like that. Historic.
What other concert would have been cool? Like Queen at Live Aid. Did you ever see that video?
Oh my god.
Ooh, imagine feeling the feelings in that room.
Bro, Bohemian Rhapsody and that fucking
when he's just
atmosphere.
like, oh, and they're like, and like, yeah, and it's just like, and you can actually see the sound travel. You can see people reacting a little bit, like, oof. Yeah. It would be cool to be in the presence of one Freddie Mercury.
That actually would be that. Yeah, that's definitely gonna make my list too. You had an idea though as I was talking.
I did. Well, like, shit. It's now.
Was it choosing?
It wasn't like a joke or anything. It was a.
Was it like no?
Point.
But I felt like when I said, "Oh, I chose work instead of the concert."
Oh,
that's when you lit up.
Yeah. I'm actually curious. Of the in the real world, a serious question, not in the story section, but like, what do you think that Adeel in that universe that went to that show and didn't do the work thing is doing? Do you think he got the same jobs? Do you think that
it wasn't film related?
Oh,
yeah. So if I'll be honest, I don't think I'll ever regret choosing film over a concert personally. Film work, I mean, like directing something. But that was like more like I just helped a friend. I was like it was like a non-film related.
So you fucked up. The Adeel that went to the concert is doing much better.
I made friends, new people I met. So it's like
you still friends with them?
No, that's a good point. Maybe I did, but I'm very much. I'm not a regret guy because it's like I'm very like I said the free will thing where it's like that decision led me to here. Maybe I would be doing a podcast with you, dude.
That's true.
Maybe I'd be doing it with Jason Bateman. Oh my god, I should have went.
Oh, you're doing smart
with Kanye. I would have noticed me, and I would have been doing a podcast with Kanye and Jay-Z right now.
Oh yeah, what was the group called?
Watch the Throne.
Watch the Throne. It'd be Listen to the Throne, because it'd be a podcast.
It would be. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, Listen to the Throne.
it like it's stuck in my head now.
Also, Watch the Throne is a fucking album, so it was already a listening thing.
Yeah. I kind of like, excuse me. I kind of like this second idea more. I think the first idea of the date and then the like sweet little ending, that's just cute. But I don't know if we can make it anything beyond that. Whereas this time travel thing, like there's a lot of like throwaway jokes and stuff that we could throw in there.
Yeah, like we just talked about the littering and like rules in this world. My only thing is the first one we have literally the heart and the ending and like the characters. The second one, I'm not saying
we
no
just
to
have
it.
the
We have to
mechanics.
really flesh it out. We have a cool mechanics and this blueprint of it. It could be dope. I just haven't figured out what the fuck the story is. Like let's use our own script, the medieval times one. Without the father-daughter, it's a boring ass short. But because we have the father-daughter relationship, I'm like, oh, that's kind of, ooh, it's a little bit more like, interesting. So what's the dilemma? What's the problem? What's the ego in this? Like if someone comes in and says, I want to go see the lizards, I'll pay you extra money. Okay. Like what's the, why do we want to watch this? Is it, like what's the, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I also don't want to do, like, I thought what you were going to say earlier when I said the work thing was, it's a guy being like, I want to go back in time so I can, like, relive these things I didn't live because I was busy. I didn't see Nirvana because I was choosing a dead-end job or...
And does he just go see Nirvana and then, like, get the crap beat out of him? Or, like, is it... Like, yeah, like, what's the consequence?
Here's a fucking left field idea just because I'm trying to make this messier. Like I'm forcing my brain to be like, what would Safdie brothers do with this concept? Just because then it's like messy and it's like something there. What if it's like stupid idea, maybe good idea? This guy runs an agency, so the first page and a half of the script or the first minute and a half of this short is like introducing the world, the rules. You see the posters on the wall of like you can go to Nirvana or you can do this, and they even have like images of modern people who went back and like took pictures with like. So that's how they sell the brochures and stuff. It's like this could be you. So all these things and
people with like pictures with Jackie Chan from every era, and just this like Jackie Chan is aging across this giant wall, but like no one else is doing it. Or what if there's something weird, or there's a weird hook like you can only go see like a band or Jackie Chan, or like there's like very narrow
the two things you could do.
It's like they haven't figured it out fully yet. It's like we only know how to transport you into Jackie Chan's proximity at any given time.
Yeah. Can I see Nirvana? Was Jackie Chan near that concert?
We had to find out if Jackie Chan got tickets to that show. Not sure.
That's so fucking funny. I want to see the birth of my child. Was Jackie Chan filming in your city at that time?
Where
was Jackie?
How many kilometers away was Jackie filming?
The name of the short film is Where Was Jackie?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it's if we go Safdie version, really intense. So you develop the world, and maybe you do that. That's a really funny, weird thing that you can only go see Jackie Chan timelines. But it's like as he's like closing up shop one day, it's like a small boutique. So the world is so progressed that there's already like the big time travel companies, and then he has a small boutique. And maybe his thing is like he can only do certain things. That's why he's a small boutique. But someone runs in as he's closing, and he has a gun, and he's like, I need you to get me in one of these capsules. Like that's how they do it, maybe or whatever. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, he just robbed a bank, this guy. And he's like, I need you to go take me somewhere. I need to go hide. And he's like, dude. That's not the point. He's like, come on, and he puts a gun at him and he closes the door and he's like, where do you want to go? I don't know where it goes next, but it's like,
keep going. Sorry.
I don't know where it goes next because I don't know what
because then that could be where he reveals the like very fucked up rule, like actually Jackie Chan needs to be there, or like, but that's the thing because like I want them to promise. I love this because you get to promise all these things and have a couple conversations or whatever, some transactions.
You do a montage of him selling to different people.
Going to Rome because I don't want to lose the ability to say like go to Rome, see the Colosseum, fuck a dinosaur at the prehistoric fucking
really
time travel
Time
brothel.
travel properly.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like given the vibe of this world, a lot of people would be going back to fuck
dinosaurs.
Probably.
So like Leslie Nielsen. Ayo, because he's a dinosaur. Get it? Because he's old.
I get it. Yeah, if you wanna, I got nothing for that.
Yeah. I just wanted to get it out.
And don't call me pterodactyl.
That was good.
But so then the crook could come in and do this thing and demand who I would want to like humanize in a way and make us kind of be on their side as well. Then they could divulge like, okay, there is this actual really fucked up rule that's not going to work for whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? There could like that's when the sort of obstacles.
Yeah, we need an obstacle obviously because otherwise it's very like take me to this time. Okay, or fine, and then he takes them, and then what? And even then, like I'll be honest, like I like this, but I don't know where it goes and where it ends. So it's like. Does he like? It is a short film too, so we do want it to be like 7 pages or whatever, right? So it's like, does he fuck him over? Does he take him to a different time and then take the money because he's like running out of business? His business is closing down, so then he puts this guy over.
Could it be like a Kaiser Sose sort of thing where, yeah, like the dude is established as a bit of a jobber at the beginning. He doesn't love his job, but it sounds amazing, and like he's really selling it, and then like, you know, his posture slinks when the people leave. And then he's like, you know, he's disillusioned himself. He goes to get a coffee. He's just like not talking to anyone. It's like he fucking hates his life, and you could tell. And another client comes in and he's really dazzly and shit. But then when the crook comes in, this guy does what he says, but then kind of flips it, almost like does a reversed heist and like takes the guy's money. Like he's like, okay, well, we have to do this rule. We got to go back to the Wild West, and we need to be in a band traveling with fucking Jesse James or whatever. And then
so I want to go weird because, again, like time travel's been done. So it's like, how do we fuck shit up and how do we make it unexpected as much as possible? So what if it's like, so far, yeah, like this guy is like two-faced, where he's like pretending to be a great salesman, but he's like so depressed with life. This heist guy comes in and he's like, I don't know what you want me to do, blah blah. And then he takes him to a place, and again, I don't know why they get like fucking just beat up, or they go to a time and they're getting chased now by other people or whatever. But my point was like the ending is that B twist again, where it's like you zoom out and it's like an experience people pay for to watch. Like the world is so fucked up that they're watching people get like murdered in like the West or whatever.
Yeah,
or, you know.
And then this procession of like Eastside Mario's workers come out at the beginning with a sparkly cake, and they're like, "Happy birthday!" And they're like, "Oh, it was so fun." Yeah, that could be stupid.
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'd like that it's you don't see it coming, and because you really sell the fact that, oh, I'm gonna go on this run and go to the Western times or whatever, and all this shit. But it's like the ending is like you find out it's fuck, what's that show? The Nolan show. Jonathan Nolan made it. Westworld. It's like Westworld, where it's like, you know, it's an experience. People come to this place to. I don't know. I don't love it, but I'm just trying to think. I don't want it to be just like, oh, I'll go and hide your money and then leave you in this timeline, because where's like the.
There would have to be like a fun bait and switch, a fun twist.
Yeah.
Which isn't quite coming to me right now, but I do like the setup of this. Oh, could it turn out to be him from the future, and it's him getting himself out of the shitty job? You know, the time we're totally jacking the prestige thing, but like, hey, that's great artist steal. It's a stranger. It's the fucking, I forget the other character's name, the other Christian Bale guy who they posed as with the mustache and the hat. Fallon. It's actually Fallon that comes back, jostles him out of this thing, and they go and have a nice time, and then reveal at the end that it's been him the whole time. And he'd be like, you're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your life. In 3 years, you got to come back and do the same thing for your other self. You know? It could be that.
It could be that.
Probably not, though, judging on the blank stare.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm just trying to find like where's the awe factor. Like, is it the twist when he finds out that it's himself?
Oh, or aw.
No, like the oh. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
I feel like.
Yeah, I guess when you find out that it's
me.
him.
Oh. But then, yeah, if you read it again, you're like, oh, it was all there for me. But they told me.
That is the great thing about those films, though. It's like when you rewatch them and you're like, it was all in front of me, and it still fucking boggled my mind.
Yeah. That could be interesting. So
here's the thing. That's why I like the first idea, because the good ideas usually are the ones where you're like, they're right in front of you. You have the ending, you have the whole thing, and you're like, okay, this is a fucking good idea. Where the second idea, it's not that these ideas are also good, where you have to work on them harder, but it's like we're still like not there yet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I'm thinking, so honestly, I don't mean to do this as a bit, but think of Inception for a moment, right? Inception, they created a world where you could go into dreams, right? Like literally it was like, I could go into your dream, you can go into my dream, and it's like, it just is a rule now. Just like how we're saying in this world, time traveling agencies exist, right? Now in Inception, it wasn't like, oh, dreams exist. How can we just fucking make a weird film? It's like, okay, dreams exist, and now the rest of this is kind of like it's like a regular spy film. It's literally like a espionage James Bond film, where it's like, we gotta go and do this task so that this person can like make it home to see his family. Like everything is so just any film that you've seen maybe, They just put dreams in there, and then the dreams complement the story of a heist. It's a fucking heist film, right? But it's like, oh, they're in dreams, and then all of a sudden it's epic because they can be creative. So that's what I'm trying to think. Where that's why like the heist, this guy running in and keeping him hostage is like a simple idea, but it's like something like that simple, like a nice linear idea that we entangle with this world where time travel agencies exist.
Could it be some kind of thing where a particular client, like we cycle through a bunch of clients and we make some jokes about historical things and their desires, but this one client keeps returning, and like maybe at the end of each workday there's like a stack of gold coins that comes in his drawer or something, and he's like, where the fuck are these coins coming from, or something, or like, there's like some kind of this weird client that keeps coming in is doing some kind of weird thing in a different time, but kind of paying this guy off or something, and then we learn why that is, or like, I don't know, that I probably should have just kept that in my head.
Now people know my ideas. Here's another.
Now someone might steal that horrifically unbaked idea
and make $1 billion film.
Yeah.
Here's a kind of what you're saying, and I'm mixing with the other stuff that I was saying, where it's like, imagine it's about a small boutique time travel agency. He's like running out of business, whatever, and then maybe he starts a scam where he basically takes people and he leaves them in timelines. Like he keeps doing that. So he's like this he goes to the dark side where it's like, okay, I can just kind of take this person, like you come in, you're like, I want to check out the Roman times. I'm like, oh, cool. I take you there and I leave you there, but then your belongings are in my boutique, so now I just steal your money. So I'm just trying to think, is there something as simple as that with an ending where he and I'm going very weird because I'm like trying to really break out of this bubble of, I'm not feeling this right now, where it's like, what if it's these, like he takes the people and then this one woman comes in one day and he takes her and he falls in love, and then he tells her everything and she's like, oh my God, what the fuck, and all this thing, and then he thinks she's gonna leave, but then she's like, do you need a partner or something, and then they become like Bonnie and Clyde of time travel agencies. Or
that person is a relative of someone that he left in the past, and they kind of got savvy to it, and then they're like, now you're gonna stay here. I really want to go to Rome with you, but now you're gonna stay. Like they get there and it's like, you left my sister here 40 years ago, and
okay, no, I like that.
Now it's your time to suffer, and blah blah blah. And like at the beginning of we could have these mundane things, like set it up all like boilerplate and fun or whatever, and then someone could come in and be like, my sister still hasn't come back from blah blah blah, and like it's just this very seemingly non sequitur moment, and then it comes back later. It doesn't have to be that woman that eventually gets revenge. It's just a rando person like, where is Timmy?
I was gonna say it could be I don't know how we do this, because we obviously don't want to make it put on the nose, because obviously we're talking about it, so anyone listening to this knows where it's gonna go.
It's not gonna be a surprise.
But the way, exactly. But the way for an audience to feel surprised a little bit even is like maybe he's like maybe him or the news is making it seem like all time travel agencies are getting like a little sketchy or whatever, but it's really his boutique that's doing this. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to find how to not put on the nose, but I like that where it's like, where's Tim? We haven't seen Timmy in so long or whatever, right? That's kind of interesting.
But we could also call out, like, if we do this montage of customers, they could have unique things like a bracelet, like a shiny bracelet or a pendant or a whatever, a nice watch. And he's got these things in later scenes, he's like wearing the nice watch, or like there's just subtle things that if you were watching it, you'd be like, isn't that the thing?
Yeah. Or I was going to say, do we take the pressure off the twist where it's like that from the beginning, he's a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like it's not about the twist of him like, oh, he's been doing this. The twist is more the thing is like,
oh yeah, for sure. But like
we still do that.
Little things would be like little hints that he is a sketch bag.
Right. So it's not like we're being like, oh, if you really look closely, it's like, no, we're telling you he's a sketch bag. Yeah. Just a little detail with the bracelet and stuff. And then, someone walks in like a woman and she kind of, he gets smitten by her, and he is a piece of shit dude too. So he's kind of like, oh yeah, we can go. I can take you to this time.
You know what? I'll take you myself.
Yeah. And then he goes there, and then she starts like, the whole thing needs to be that she leaves him here, and it does need to be, I think, like heart-wrenching a bit, where like she really fucks him over. Like we need to really make him pay his dues, Yeah. Like she leaves him in the worst timeline or some shit.
Yeah, like at the Coliseum, like they're in this weird so like I want to fuck in the catacombs of the Colosseum, and then
she uses
like,
sex as like
and she handcuffs him to a pipe or something. They had plumbing back then.
Yeah.
Copper pipes.
I just said as if like fucking.
Or she handcuffs him to something, and he's like, ugh, and then she's like, all right, bye, and slips away into the shadows, and then like a gate opens to the Colosseum, and then cut to black. Yeah.
I like that. One thing, because now that I think we're cooking now, it's like, it's the idea of how do we, because it's a short film. Like if you had a feature film, you could really like go into his life and show the darkness that he's done with people. Like he's really fucked them over and like really make him a bad guy. And then the woman character or like this leading lady who comes in and she kind of fucks him over. It's like you kind of really feel like it's worth the while. Where it's in a short film, how do we kind of make the middle not boring, I guess?
Yeah, I think that the beginning, like Act 1, would be all the wonders of the world and all the satisfied customers and stuff. The subtlety of him gaining items that we've seen subtly throughout. This person comes in, they go on this amazing date in a different time, and then she's like, I know we just went on a time thing. Can we go to one more place together? And then they go to Rome, and then she's like, you fucked over this person and this person and this person and this. Like it ultimately, like, I'm here for my sister, but you, and just do a montage of like all these people being trapped in time, and getting like.
We could even cut back to like one of the people we saw in the montage earlier.
Yeah, just getting beheaded and like getting burned at the stake in Salem.
Yeah.
And
he's
like,
really fucked them over.
He just sends them to all the worst places in time. And like the Salem witch trials, like someone could just like apport into that timeline and they'd be like, witch! And they just fucking burn them, And it's just like this montage of people just suffering in these different time frames, but they're all wearing contemporary clothes and it's like whatever. The 300 guy like kicking me into a pit. And then it's his fate, and it's all we could go through, we could research some like big brutal historical events and like people going through that, and then he goes through one himself.
We bring Matt Hitler for this.
Yeah, I was like, don't say. Let's just stay away from World War II atrocities.
Okay. Well, okay. No, I like that, and you're right. I think that'll be the trick for us. For it's like when we get to that part, it's like finding those historic moments that we kind of put into this, and it's like all these like catastrophes that have happened, and he's taking these people and throwing them in the middle of it. So I like that. That's a little thing to do when we actually write the script. One thing also I'm trying to figure out is that little beat where when she does meet him. And then she does this whole thing of like, let's go on a trip, and they go together and they come back and they go on another one. Where that I want to tighten, where it's like, does she play with him at first when she comes in, and then she kind of is about to go on the trip, and then she kind of like, again, if you were watching this film for the first time, she kind of backs away. She's like, I'm too scared because he's gonna send her somewhere. And then he's like, and then she leaves, and then he's like thinking about her all night and all this thing. Then she comes back the next day and she's like, I'll go if you come with me or whatever. Like,
yeah.
We have to kind of play with, like, marinate that a little bit so that the middle point is a little more.
Yeah. And like they're like making out or like getting close to banging or something. And like, he's just so activated that he's obsessed, and she's like, okay, I'll go. And then they make sweet passionate love in the Colosseum, and then he gets fed to a lion.
We can even add like it's her with Finn. We can like she's working with a team of people, so then she's like, while we're here in this 1600, my friends are back in your thing, and we cut to outside the time travel, and her friends are just lighting the whole fucking agency like with gas.
Oh yeah.
And then we cut back into it, and she's like still doing her monologue, and then when she leaves him, the ending is her like lighting the agency on fire and walking away.
Yeah.
And that's what fire sounds like.
But
how you feeling? So now again,
I think that's cool.
Revisiting both. Option A, the date.
Sweet little date
Where it's like you find out halfway through the date where like, yeah, I've been time traveling the whole time, and she like gets pissed and whatever. Then they walk outside, they have a fight, they argue, they walk separate ways, and you zoom out, and it's them at like age 75 watching themselves, being like, "Oh, we were so young. I'm glad you did this or whatever." And then they go, you ready to go back?
If only they knew.
Yeah. You ready to go back? Yeah, let's go back. And then, or it'd be kind of fun, interesting if like they walk away, and then he's like walking and he runs into someone else, and that's who he ends up with, and they're watching this date.
Yeah,
Like it's not even the girl that he was on the date with. It's a different woman or a different person that he's like meets, and he's like, she's like, wow, you really put her through a lot, that poor woman. Where it's like, that's not, who he ended up with.
Or it's just clearly the version of him that's a female, so it's exactly him but female version. And
They're both
they just
like
turn
fucking
and start making out.
Or it's like How I Met Your Mother. So it's like the future version of it, where it's like you zoom out and it's the dad showing his kids.
Yeah,
that's How I Met Your Mom.
The guy from How I Met Your Mother.
It's Josh Radnor, I think that's his name. So that idea still has a lot of legs, and I'm not like, I don't want to be like we just spent so much time on this new idea, but I'm just saying that does, and then this becomes more of a dark revenge Blue Mirror, not Black Mirror episode. So what do we? I wish honestly we could like poll right now and go with that. We got to find a way to do that in the future, but yeah.
I think the second one is more interesting to me just because there's more shit to do, but it's like it's a lot of building, whereas the other one just seems like it'll be a long conversation with a nice little twist at the end,
Yeah, and that's my. I'll be honest. Like, first of all, it's good to have that. A good problem to have that. I do like both ideas. They both have like cool things in it. I feel like the first is, like you said, a cleaner short, and it's like the thesis, the ending. The second one kind of worries me, where it's like, will we get lost in the weeds, and it'll become like a fucking 12-page script. Excuse me, just to kind of build a world, or I might be overthinking that. So. These are the parts of the podcast where you get to hear our anxiety. But yeah, before we go forward, what's your heart saying?
I would just like to amend the last statement, because technically you're hearing my anxiety the entire time, because it doesn't stop. It just goes. It's just there.
You sure about that?
It lives rent free in my body at all times. Yeah, it's tough. Fuck. Well, I don't think we've ever had to. Two ideas that are like competing for our affection. Normally we're pretty discerning. Okay. We're gonna do
a pro and con?
No, we're gonna randomly pick which one is which. This is gonna be
date.
This is date because it's pink and cute, and this is time travel adventure because it's
Matrix screen.
Okay. So I'm
so nervous right now, dude. So we have two buttons or magnets. One is red, one is green. Red signifies the date story. Green signifies the time travel brochure story. And John is shaking them up. Okay. And now he's presenting them.
Left hand or right hand?
Left.
Now I'm trying to decide if I want to do the joke where I reveal my right hand because I messed up the left and right. But I'm going to just do my left, my actual left hand.
I'm going to
Okay, ready? Date.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Hey.
Do you want to know what's in my right hand?
They were both red, you son of a bitch.
I time traveled and switched them out.
I just feel, hopefully the listeners enjoyed us talking about the time travel short idea because we spent a lot of time on that.
Challenge to the listeners. Write a 7 to 10 page script about the actual time travel agent revenge story.
Please. You... let's go over the beats before we go because we, I think, know it, but we'd spend a lot of time on the other idea.
Yep.
So... Okay, the name of the film, First Date, ? Because is it? It starts in the middle of a conversation on a date. Two people, Nick and... give me something. You're just like staring at me. I'm like trying to ask for help.
Gabby.
Nick and Gabby. Okay. Nick and Gabby, right? Gabriella. They're on a date, they're in the middle of a conversation, and they're talking, and it's like going super well, and it's going eerily well, where it needs to feel for the audience who don't know the film yet, where it's like, wow, this is like a really good date, and it's like a really good time, and he knows everything, and they're like so in sync. Like she would say stuff, and he agrees, or he says something before she wants to say it, and she's like, you can just feel she's like blushing a bit because she's like, wow, this is like kind of a perfect date. He knows me so well, and he's like sidestepping all these like usual red flags I have, and even like when the food came, like he instinctively went for the olives, and that's so interesting to me because I always say that would be like the perfect guy or whatever, or just
you know what would be the perfect guy? He instinctually goes for the olives.
Yeah, wait, isn't that what girls are into? But you get my point. Like maybe it makes sense that he used time travel to figure these things out. So like little breadcrumbs where later it all adds up. Where halfway through
he just like puts a napkin on the table and then she has like a crazy sneeze attack or something, you know?
Yeah, and she's like, wow, he's so intuitive or whatever, right? And then eventually he does one thing that's too creepy because it's like he beats her to the sentence where she's like, the example I used earlier was like, I watched, I don't know why this is the example, but I watched Monsters Inc. when I was like 7 and I cried. Oh, no, wait, no, I watched it when I was, and he goes, 9. And she's like, wait, what? Like, how the fuck did you know that? And she gets very creeped. Now she starts putting all of it together. She's like, wait, have you been stalking me? That's why you knew this, you knew this, you knew this. And then she kind of like gets up and is about to leave. And he stops her. And then he's like, yeah, we've been on this date before. And she's like, wait, what? And he's like, tells her the time travel thing and blah, blah. And he's like, I'm tired of doing this. That's why I'm telling you this whole thing. And she's like about to leave. And he tries to stop her. She sits down, maybe, I don't know. And then maybe she does leave. And then he follows her out trying to talk her through it. And she's like, no, listen, I don't know about this. And she kind of walks away. And he takes out his phone to time travel again. But then he goes, nah, it's not worth it. Because like, what the fuck? I don't want to keep forcing this. So then he puts it in his pocket. And then he walks away. And then we zoom out. And an old couple are sitting on a bench watching them. And at first we don't know right away that it's them. But through their dialogue, it's like they say certain things where you're like, oh, that's them from the future. But they're way older because they're like 75 now or 80. But that's where this film is in my head right now. Are you on the same page?
Yeah. It just, yeah. Yeah.
What?
It's just not as like, part of me wishes you picked the right hand.
I think then you go with the time travel agency story.
No. I think
No, because if you wanted that bad.
No.
You wanted that bad, bro.
I like a good challenge though. I just want to hopefully save it with like, not save it, because I don't think this is a bad idea by any stretch. I think it's interesting. And as a short film, it's kind of the perfect thing because it will do that. It's just like building, like having really good character, really good dialogue, which, you know, could happen or not.
The other one had a more intricate plot and a more like, plot.
But potentially like you'd want to blow that out over an hour and a half as opposed to.
But that is what.
7 to 10 pages.
Oh, I get what you mean. You mean the time travel agency thing?
Yeah. I feel like there's so much more in that to play with, and we might end up spiraling into too complicated. So I like this simple idea, and I think it's a challenge to do a simple movie. I'm just like, okay, it's got to be fucking.
And it's,
extra good first draft.
And it's like, it's not just this idea, but both ideas, I gotta say, for a time travel film, I think they're pretty unique. Like they're not just what we, like the time travel brochure thing, where it's like becomes about revenge about this guy who fucks people over through time travel agency, and then this one where it's like you've seen this before. It's like 50 First Dates a little bit, but it's like about time travel.
That actual Black Mirror episode where they're running the simulations.
Hang the DJ.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the one?
I don't know if that's what it's called. I just agree
where
with you because
like,
I assumed you knew. So
they're like they're like a dating app.
Feature. Yeah.
And then it's not time travel, but you're right. It does kind of feel that way a little bit.
It's running the iterations. Yeah. Or running the simulation. Good. Yeah. So. Yeah, fuck it. Let's. I'm
gonna say something before we go on to this.
Okay.
Where I'll be honest, as soon as we now go write it, we might end up with a different script than you think we're gonna end up with. Like we might actually do the time travel agency.
I don't know
yet.
Well, I think we would be liars if we did, because we just told everyone that.
But that's like, hey guys, stay tuned for a surprise, and then it's not a surprise.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Well. Best case, if we fuck it up, we just travel back in time and do it again.
I like that. I'll get my machine ready.
I'll get my app out.
Perfect. And now,
Dinosaurs, the movie.
Yeah, we make a completely different.
And now, in the nick of time. Interior fancy pub night. Nick and Gabriella, both in their mid-30s, sit at a table perusing their menus. The waiter watches over them idly, his pen and notepad out.
Ooh, I'll have the unforgettable.
Great choice.
How come she gets the great choice and my burger got nothing?
Oh no, that was also a great choice, sir. It's just not as fun to say.
Guess I should have went with the I'll be back baby back ribs.
Well, I can certainly add it to the order. Nick plays down his agitation.
No, we're good.
What about an appy? The Nacho Average Nachos is apparently world famous.
Yeah.
No, we're good.
A beat of uncomfortable silence as Gabriella's smile fades. She's not sure if Nick is serious.
I mean, I heard they're all right.
Anthony Bourdain said they were the best nachos he's ever had.
Okay, we have...
No nachos!
Gabriella frowns.
I just think that paying $19 for some cheese and chips and like mushy avocado is a bit ludicrous.
He's losing her. Nick backpedals.
Plus, I just had some yesterday, so not really in the mood.
Gabriella glances at the menu again.
How about the Mexicali calamari?
Calamari's good.
Great choice.
Yes.
Nick and Gabriella hand back their menus, and the waiter takes his leave. A short, awkward beat.
I'm gonna go use the washroom.
He gets up and leaves. Interior washroom moments later. Nick bursts in and surveys the room. He is alone. He approaches the last stall and steps inside. There, Nick's exact double, Nick 2, is holding another exact double, Nick 3, hostage. His hand clasped around Nick 3's mouth.
All right, he's going to remove his hand, and you're going to stay quiet. Correct?
Nick 3 nods. Nick 2 removes his hand.
Oh, what the fuck is going on? Hey, I've taken care of the order. The what?
Nick 2 chimes in.
It's simple. Just go back and continue your date. Fall in love and live happily ever after. There won't be any issues anymore. Just don't order those nacho average nachos. What the absolute fuck is going on right now? Who are you guys?
Nick 1 grabs Nick 3 and shakes him.
We're obviously future versions of you, who, I might add, know way more about this night than you two, and we do not have time to explain the ins and outs of the series of events that led us here.
Nick 3 glares at Nick 2.
Do we?
Nick 2 shakes his head, embarrassed.
No.
Nick 3 turns to Nick 2.
You fucked up the order? Technically, so did you.
The door bursts open, and another Nick, Nick 4, comes in carrying a lead pipe. Nick 1 holds up his hand.
Don't worry, we got it.
Nick 4 rests the pipe on his shoulder.
You sure? Yeah, I placed the order myself.
Nick 4 nods. Nick 1 turns to Nick 3.
Now go before she comes in, checking on you and sees us all.
Nick 4 puts his hand on Nick 3's shoulder.
Yeah, no one needs to feel those feelings.
Nick 3 frantically looks around at his duplicates.
Jesus Christ, what happened to you? What happened to me?
Nick 1 responds in a hushed tone.
You never have to find out if you just go back out there and eat the Mexicali calamari and your plain ass burger that inexplicably has no cool name.
Nick 4 laments.
Should I got the I'll be back baby back ribs.
Nick 1 and Nick 2 nod in agreement. Cut to interior fancy pub seconds later. Nick 3 rejoins Gabriella at the table, sweating from his washroom encounter.
Are you okay? This is the second time you've been to the wash.
Fine. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm sorry.
Nick 3 gulps down an entire glass of water and fills it up again. The waiter arrives with the food and is about to put the plates down, but pauses when Gabriella speaks.
Are you sure you're okay?
Nick 3 pulls it together.
I'm having a great time.
Gabriella smiles a fake smile.
You're not?
She sighs.
Well, fine. I'm not gonna lie. I thought about leaving, but I stayed only because I kind of like where this is going.
She gestures at the invisible connection between them.
That, and I told my therapist if I see a red flag, I will vocalize it.
Red flag?
I don't like people ordering for me.
The nachos?
The nacho average nachos.
Right. I'm sorry.
The waiter stands by, still awkwardly holding their plates. He clears his throat to remind them, then lays the plates in front of them. All right. Will there be anything else? Nick ponders a moment, splitting his attention between his date and the warnings from his future selves.
Yeah, actually, let's have a round of those nacho average nachos.
The waiter leaves, and Nick 3 turns and smiles at Gabriella.
I just said I don't like that.
What? Oh no. That was I wasn't.
It's fine.
I can call him back, and you can order it yourself.
Gabriella laughs.
No, don't worry. I said my piece, so just don't worry. It's fine. Next time.
Nick 3 lights up a little.
Exactly. Next time. Lesson learned. Thank you for sharing.
The waiter returns, but this time with a black eye and a timid demeanor.
Oh my god.
We're out of nachos.
How is that possible? It's just cheese and chips and...
I can see at least 3 tables eating nachos right now.
We're out of the nacho average nachos. Nick 3 peers over the waiter's shoulder and sees his other selves at the bar all staring. But as soon as Nick 3 catches their eyes, they pretend to be busy. Nick 3 turns back to the waiter.
Buddy, this beautiful woman would like to indulge in some nachos. So unless you want to lose 2 customers for life, you'd best get back there and bring us some motherfucking nacho average nachos.
The waiter's shoulders drop and he sluggishly slips away.
That was strange.
Well, you're getting those nachos one way or the other.
Gabriella laughs.
I'm glad you're coming around. I've heard great...
Abrupt cut 2. Exterior, outside the fancy pub. Later. Nick 3 violently throws up in the bushes. Gabriella stands over him, rubbing his back.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Nick 3 spits and stands up straight, still shaking a bit.
You see? I was right. The nachos were a bad idea.
I guess they were pretty average after all.
He turns to Gabriella sharply.
What? Pray tell, what's average about those nachos?
Gabriella is stunned. She winces at the sight before her. A man at the end of his rope, covered in his own vomit. The chunks around his lips and beard are particularly disgusting.
You know what? I'm sorry. Like so sorry. I feel better though. Let's go back in.
Gabriella, now rethinking the entire date, shakes her head.
No, you know what? I don't think the smell of puke is gonna leave my nostrils anytime soon, so why don't we call it a night? Do a rain check.
Promise?
Nick 3 turns his head and pukes again.
Oh, God.
Gabriella pats him on his back and walks off into the night. Nick 3 pukes even harder. Interior fancy pub, later. The rest of the Nicks sit with drinks in their hands. Nick 3 slumps onto a stool, covered in puke, but his wits are back. A brand new Nick, Nick 5, slides a fresh beer in front of him. Nick 1 pats Nick 3 on the back.
I know how you're feeling. We all do.
Nick 1 raises his beer to the rest of the room. To Nick 3's surprise, there are many other Nicks hanging out and drinking. They raise their beers in response, and they all take a dejected sip. Nick 3 can't believe it.
You all ordered nachos?
Nick 2 has an idea.
What if one of us posed as the waiter?
Nick 5 isn't buying it.
Dude, she'll recognize us.
Nick 4 chimes in.
Ooh, what if we tell her that nachos killed our entire family? Huh?
Nick 1 shuts him down.
Okay, no more time travel for Nick 4.
Nick 1 addresses the room.
That's it, guys. All right, we're done. We thought we were in love, but it's just not meant to be.
They all sit in silence, sipping their beers in defeat. Nick 3's eyes widen, and he sits up straight, excited.
I got it.
Interior washroom later. Nick 3 washes his hands and straightens his jacket in the mirror. He smiles to check his teeth, then winks before walking to the door. Grabbing the handle, he peers back, and the other Nicks stand near the stall, giving him a thumbs up. Nick 3 leaves the washroom, and we stay with the other Nicks. They lift a dead Nick into frame and stuff him through the window.
Fin.
In conclusion. Okay, we are back, and we pulled a fast one.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Usually we don't do this. We stick pretty close to like the Blue Sky segment. But what happened was we went to go off and write it, and we had all these ideas, the date and the time travel agency. And then we were like, the date has something, but it's also missing something. It's missing a little chaotic element. And as we were writing, we were just discussing that and figuring out like, yeah, it's cool that it's a date and he's trying to fix this date by using time travel. But what if he's in the middle of fixing it and we don't even know?
Yeah.
Right? That's the whole point. Like, it's like it starts off, you think it's a normal date, and then when he goes to the washroom, like
shit's already in motion.
Exactly. Yeah. Which, and the fact that there's already 4 Nicks, meaning he's already done this 4 times. So I think that's what and the beats became like, it starts with a date. He goes to the washroom to excuses herself after being so like rude about the nachos, being like, yeah, no, we don't want nachos. And he goes to the washroom. He gets in there, and it's like a version of himself holding back the present times version.
The Nick who should have been at the table. So there's already like there's things very dastardly and mysterious happening right out of the gate.
And for some reason they keep going like, just whatever you do, don't order the nachos, as if like the whole date hangs on the
whether
nachos.
or not he orders those nachos. Yeah.
And then we did a quick little thing there where there's a little, I find that it's such an interesting scene where there's like 4 Nicks. A 4th Nick even comes in during that interrogation or like that moment of hostage, and he comes in, and then it's like, no, don't worry, we got this. So it's like, oh wow, another Nick was coming to help him out. So the timelines are just getting more and more chaotic. And then the present Nick goes back and catches his breath, and he's back into the date, and then he gives in, as you do on a date when you want to make sure it goes well. And
you want your person to be happy.
Yeah, and he's like, he wants it to go well. She's obviously upset, so he's like, you know what? We'll get those nachos. And we found it really funny during the thing where it's like the waiter has a black eye because he tries to get the nachos at first.
And then the other Nicks intervene, perhaps with the lead pipe that we wrote in there.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting where there's like these Nicks walking around who think they're being so coy and like clever saving this date, but they're so like heavy-footed in this world and leaving marks all over the place.
And and if you got this far, you know how it ends. Just a sad man covered in vomit. And joining his other sad selves in this moment. So I feel like what we did was take the sort of endless chaotic opportunity from the time travel agency and inserted it into this nice little date thing, and then in classic Adeel and Jono fashion gave it a dark ass ending,
where he basically goes into he goes back in time and then kills the version of himself that's supposed to be on a date in that timeline, and takes over.
So maybe it is a happy ending in the end, but I think old Nick might screw it up again. I think he might.
Yeah, he's bound to screw it up again somehow. But then the other Nicks will come to his help again.
Yeah. So you weren't privy for that part of the conversation, but
we took a little left turn. I mean, we stuck to the date concept overall, but just kind of spiced it up a little bit.
And named a couple of cool dishes in the
Forget
midst.
about.
Unforgettable.
I would love to have an unforgettable. Oh my, I love bows, man.
Bow's
Oh my
so
gosh.
good. It's so good. It's like so light, but it fills you up.
Fluffy.
You feel good.
The what's the bread called? I think the bread is the bow? No.
I think the whole thing is a bow,
It's just like the bread is so good.
but like the whole thing, it is a bow.
A
It
steamed bow.
is a bow personified. it is just giving
It really
itself
is.
to you.
Okay. So now that we've caught you up, because we felt like even though we've read the script, it'd be kind of nice to kind of go over the beats because we never went through some of the new beats during the Blue Sky. Now that you're caught up, just finish off this recap real quick. Okay, real quick, buddy.
Real fast. Okay.
What did you like about it?
I
Already not quick. Already slow.
Oh,
Starting
no.
off super fucking slow.
Oh. Can you throw up a timer?
And 6 seconds on the clock.
Okay, what did I like about it? Shit.
The funny food names.
The funny food names, I really like that. That's where kind of I got in. Normally when we write it, Adeel does a vomit pass, and I sort of go in and kind of clean it up and like clean the beats up. But the whole time he was doing a vomit pass, I was just writing weird dish names like unforgettable and I'll be back baby back ribs and not your average nachos and forget about it. And there's not very many other ones.
That's it. You literally
I stopped once I filled out all the food that we needed, and I thought that was funny.
And what didn't you like about it?
I don't know. Actually, I think this one's actually pretty tight. Like I wasn't worried about time or like I wish we could have fleshed it out into a feature. I think we actually kind of like did a short this time that doesn't need to exist, and I don't mind that.
That doesn't need to exist?
No, sorry, it doesn't need to exist.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we did something that needs to be deleted.
No,
I don't think it needs to exist any more than it does.
Yeah.
It's just this little like a needle drop in a needle.
I wouldn't want the feature version of this is too long.
No, for sure. Yeah. And I don't think that we should feel remiss for not having any kind of logic or explaining the time travel thing. Just make it a fucking joke and take the world seriously. And like if we shot it, the performances would be very serious and grounded, and this shit is happening for real.
Yeah.
So you don't need all that shit because everyone believes it. So therefore we do. You
know? Watch how it's done. What I liked about it was the chaotic nature of it. So my favorite scene, the one I keep laughing at, even though maybe no one else will, but it makes like the movie for me, is like when the waiter comes with the black eye and then they kind of peer over it and there's a bunch of Nicks at the bar. It's like that chaotic thing of like there's so many Nicks here and there's so many versions of him trying to save him, but they're so not good at it.
Yeah,
I love that, because if they were good at it, then it's not chaotic. It's like, oh, they're like fucking Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, go in, fix a date and get out. But it's like they keep fucking up.
Yeah,
and that's amazing.
And there is really only one thing that they have to do.
Literally, just don't order the fucking
order
nachos.
The nachos.
Yeah. And then my least favorite thing, like you said, I totally agree. It's not I don't think, oh my gosh, I wish we had more time and all these things. My least favorite thing is just that it's not a film right now, because as a table read, I'm worried it's a bit confusing.
Yeah.
Because it's like Nick 1 says this, then Nick 2 says this, and I'm just playing all the characters, and you could be so lost being like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah. If you check out our merch store, we have a Blue Sky pin board that you can order, and it helps you connect all the characters and Nicks and keep track of all the Nicks. So just check out our merch store.
All our scripts are just going to be about Nick now.
Yeah.
But no, actually though, about the website, we do have a website, and on there is a script.
Oh
that we upload.
We're released now.
Yeah.
This is the first one we recorded since it's been released.
Yeah, it's true, actually.
Thank you for listening. And you can
actually
read
website
the
where you can
script.
actually read the script, so it makes it more like it's in front of you. You can read it and not be as confused.
Yeah, but the domain is kind of confusing, I have to say.
Is it?
If you can remember this, it's theblueskypodcast.com.
Wait, what is it?
I know it's a little hard to remember. I already forget it.
Theblueskypodcast.com.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I remembered it. Okay, it's not so bad.
Wait, is it the Blue Sky? So you're gonna say it at the same time as me? I was trying to time it up.
Oh,
wait, is it
theblueskypodcast.com?
There we go. Nailed it.
So. Okay, cool.
Nailed it.
Only after you told me how to do it.
Yeah, that's how it works. That's improv, right? You tell them what to do.
Yeah, it's all scripted.
So those are the favorite and least favorite things about this whole
Yeah, when did
endeavor.
it come together for you?
When it came, I don't know if it came together for you at this point, but I remember pitching it and you were like, oh, it was like when we were talking about it, because we had the date idea. I'm like, oh, it's a good idea. It's fun. It's interesting. It's like, blah, blah, blah. But then there was this moment where I was like, okay, what if he goes into the washroom? Like he orders the stuff, everything's done. Then he goes to the washroom and he opens a stall and it's like the Nick holding the other Nick, which what I loved about that, and we both, I think, agreed on, is like, you're in the middle of it all. It's no like, because we were at one point, we're like, what if he goes to the washroom, then comes back and it's a different Nick, then he goes back again. No, it's like, starts off, he's already a different Nick.
Yeah.
And we don't know this right away, but when he goes to the washroom, hopefully you start putting it together like, oh, that's not even the fucking Nick that's supposed to be on this date. So that to me was like, okay, this is chaotic now and this is fun now.
Yeah, same for me. And that's when I was like, oh, we can have a lot of fun with this. And like, just the idea of these other Nicks coming in and the escalation of just fucking up and fucking up and fucking up and fucking up, and then bring it to the ending when there's all kinds of other Nicks there. Like, I feel like it's very like almost Edgar Wrighty and
mixed with like Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to do.
It's Edgar Lefty.
It is. Oh my gosh.
This one. It's a left-hand enthusiast.
You actually use your left hand. I'm just more proud of that than anything else. Casting. If you had to make this film, last thing on the recap, who would you cast?
Well, I think because we talked about our friend Nick Atef, it's him. But I always want to see Maya Erskine and stuff. Like, I want to see her.
You've picked her, I think, for like all the fucking things.
She's amazing, and she doesn't do much right now that I know of. Or maybe she's just filming stuff, and she's gonna have a big.
I know who I want for the guy. So yeah, I mean,
but I would say Donald Glover.
Fucking everyone's Donald Glover and Maya Erskine, and they always work.
Yeah, they're the best.
I mean, yes. First of all, I picture our friend Nick, and if we were to make this tomorrow, I would fucking get him in it, and it'd be so fun to make with him all the versions of himself. But who I picture, and for the guy, I was thinking about it. I'm like, who would I like to see stressed out and all that thing? Is Michael Cera. I would watch the shit out of it, and then for Gabriella's part, what's her name? You know her. You've worked with her. What's her name? Schitt's Creek.
Annie Murphy.
I would love to see. Maybe it's because I watched the Black Mirror episode and they're both in it. But Michael Cera, I think would be fucking amazing in this. And then her as Annie Murphy as like Gabriella would be fun to watch. Yeah, those two I would like to see in this. And the waiter is a director cameo. One of us is in there.
It's John Turturro.
It's John. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
I don't have an impression. I thought I did.
Yeah, I don't even know what
lining one up, but then I'm like, what is it? Just
yeah.
Like, oh.
What is it? Because the thing is, he's such a good actor. He's so versatile.
He's
not like one note,
He's just one of those weird dudes that can just do it.
So good. I think we did it. Did we do it?
Yeah, we did.
We might have nailed it.
We did it.
Also, please, this is one of those episodes where we would love the feedback of, was that confusing to start in one script idea and then end off in a different world? We enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But did you?
Yeah. Now's your time to start playing on our insecurities and let us know if anything's weird or not tracking, because we can adjust, because we do it every week. Anyway, have a great time under the blue sky. Have a great time.
Leave while you're ahead.
Leave while you're ahead.
Oh, you're trying to do a sign off?
Yes.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
And that's the color of the sky.
Blue sky. It's a cool song.
Good night. The Blue Sky Podcast is produced by Adeel Shamsi and Jono Hunter, edited by Justin Stevenson, and this voiceover was recorded by Kevin Brown. If you have an idea for a prompt, email us at theblueskypodcast@gmail.com or DM us at The Blue Sky Podcast on Instagram. The Blue Sky Podcast is an independent show, so please like and subscribe and tell your friends. Please.